Hello friends and welcome to our channel. I hope you've already subscribed. If not, please do so now and don't forget to like and share this video or else the next horror story might just feature you. The story we're about to delve into isn't just a story, it was a terrifying time for an entire village. There was a young girl, let's call her Ragini, who was just 14 years old. She belonged to a village called Dargapur in Uttar Pradesh, India. Ragini was wise beyond her years and a loving child. After returning from school, she would help her mother with household chores, like fetching water from the well, feeding the buffaloes and goats, and taking care of them. Dargapur was a small village, where most people were religious and hard-working. Their world began and ended within the boundaries of their village. But then, a terrifying and dreadful series of events began. One day, as the entire family, Ragini, her mother Saroj, and her father Brijmohan were having dinner, Ragini's behaviour suddenly changed. She lifted her head and let out a blood-curdling scream that made her family jump in terror. Ragini's body turned ice-cold, and it seemed as if she was frozen stiff, as if someone had taken control of her. Her father Brijmohan tried to speak to her, but the voice that responded sounded like the devil himself, not Ragini. In that voice it said, "You can't save her from this." And then it started speaking in a language unknown to everyone present. Ragini's mother tried to hug and calm her down, but Ragini pushed her back with a creepy smile. At that moment everyone realized that it wasn't Ragini, it was something else. And such an incident had never occurred in their village before. So, instead of taking Ragini to a traditional healer, her family decided to take her to a doctor. The doctor examined her and ran some tests which showed that Ragini was perfectly healthy. Nevertheless, the doctor prescribed some medicines. For a few days after visiting the doctor, Ragini was completely normal. But one day she suddenly started speaking in different languages and her limbs began to twist backward as if someone was controlling her. She screamed in pain throughout the night. Their village wasn't very big, and news travelled fast in such places. Soon, rumours spread throughout the village that Ragini was possessed or mentally ill. Ragini's parents couldn't bear to see their daughter in such a state. One of their neighbours told them about a renowned tantric, Mohanji, who lived 80 miles away from their village. Ragini's family didn't have much money, nor did they own a car. They booked a taxi and told the driver that their daughter was sick. As they were on their way, Ragini suddenly started making strange noises, like a growling dog. Hearing this, the taxi driver also suspected something was wrong. After travelling a little further, Ragini completely lost control, and the taxi driver stopped the car. Ragini pushed her mother aside and ran out of the taxi. Her father chased after her to catch her. The place where the taxi had stopped was a forested area with no street lights, and it was almost night time. The taxi driver was terrified, but Ragini's mother pleaded for his help. She told him everything. The driver was scared, but seeing Ragini's mother crying and begging, he decided to help and ran after Ragini's father. It took them over an hour to find Ragini. The driver tied Ragini's hands with a rope and told her father to hold on tight because they still had a 3-hour journey ahead. There was no proper road leading out of their village, so it was taking them 5 hours to cover 80 miles. Somehow they reached the tantric. He was a highly respected man in his area, known for always helping people. As they entered the tantric's abode, Mohanji spoke from a distance. "You took a long time to arrive? Did something happen on the way?" As if he already knew everything. Then Mohanji made Ragini sit in front of him and started chanting mantras. As he chanted, Ragini's eyes rolled upwards, turning completely white. She began to laugh in a horrifying voice and said, "You can't save her. She's mine now." Mohanji then revealed to Ragini's family that this was no ordinary spirit. It had been summoned for a specific purpose. The tantric explained that someone from their village had summoned this entity 30 to 40 years ago out of greed for wealth. However, something had gone wrong during the ritual, and it hadn't been successful. The person then bound the entity to a tree. When Ragini went to play in the forest with her friends, she accidentally removed a nail from that very tree, setting the entity free, which then possessed her. Ragini's father asked Mohanji, "Will our daughter survive?" Mohanji replied, "Yes, the child will be saved, but it will require a significant sacrifice." Besides her parents, Ragini also had a grandmother who lived in another village. When she learned about the situation, she rushed to the tantric's abode. At that very moment, the tantric was performing a ritual to save Ragini. Ragini, who was not in her senses, started screaming as if someone was consuming her from the inside upon hearing the chanting of the mantras. Her grandmother called out to her, and Ragini cried out in a tearful voice, "Grandma, save me! This man is torturing me!" The grandmother stepped forward to save Ragini, but Brijmohan, Ragini's father, stopped his mother, because the tantric had warned them that the spirit would do anything to save itself. Just then Ragini's eyes rolled back, turning completely white again, and she said, "I won't leave without taking someone with me." The spirit was powerful. The tantric was trying his best, but he couldn't control it. Seeing her only granddaughter suffering, Ragini's grandmother said, "Leave my granddaughter and take me. I don't have much life left anyway." As she spoke, she pushed everyone aside and hugged Ragini. As soon as she did that, Ragini fainted, and her grandmother began to writhe on the ground. The tantric tried his best to stop it, but the spirit was too powerful. Right there, in front of their eyes, the grandmother breathed her last. It was then that everyone understood the sacrifice the tantric had spoken of. Ragini recovered completely, but she couldn't remember anything. Seeing her grandmother lying dead on the ground, she began to cry. The next morning the family performed the grandmother's last rites and conducted prayers and rituals for her soul's peace. Ragini was completely fine now, but she still carried the pain of her grandmother's loss, a pain she could never forget. So, my friends, we see how someone else's greed can lead to such a huge loss for us. Money comes and goes, but once a family is broken, it can never be the same. So, friends, how did you like today's story? Whatever you felt, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel so that nothing like this happens to you and you stay updated on all our upcoming videos. See you next time with a new story. Thank you and goodbye.